Hey everyone, John Martinez here with Midwest Revenue Group and Seller Snipers. As you all probably know, we have a call center. We call now for about somewhere between 90 and 100 investors throughout the country to produce leads. And I wanted to talk just a minute about how important your list is. So how important is your list? It's everything. It's absolutely vital. You know, I was looking over some numbers from earlier today, and I wanted to share some with you just to really show you how important a list is when cold calling. It's not just about the callers and the scripting and all that. Where you get the list, what kind of list it is, really just the quality of the list is super important too. We've now made about 800,000 outbound calls, so we've been able to start to see a lot of trends and what's working out there and what's not working. So I want to share these numbers with you. So we took one list from an investor, same area, same investor, exact same addresses on the list, and we had, or the investor had that skip traced by two different companies. Now I want to show you kind of the stark contrast between even just where you get your list skip trace. So this investor, exact same list, depending on skip trace A or B, skip trace A got 1.71% of the connects of the people they talked to actually had a property for sale and turned into a lead. And on his second list, 3.12%. So exact same list. Where he got his list skip trace was the difference between a 1.71 lead conversion rate or a 3.12 lead conversion rate. So just about double the conversion depending on who skip traced the list. But then we also get into what kind of lists are working and what's not working. Now this is pretty dependent on, again, where you get the list and what area of the country you're in, but I want to share some numbers with you too. So we've got another investor. We're calling on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lists. Okay, on the high end, the top performing list is his code violation list. Out of that, 3.29% of everyone we talk to turns into a viable lead. And then on the low end, bankruptcy. The bankruptcy list, 0%. Now, that was a smaller sample, only 60 connects for that bankruptcy list, but out of 60, absolutely none. And then there's everything in between. So there was a pre-foreclosure returned at 2.27% conversion rate. So that's everyone we talked to. How many turned into a lead? 2.27. Tax default list killed it at 3.12% conversion rate. High equity, 1.15% conversion rate, and that's surprising because different people have different high equity lists and that are performing exceptionally well. So here's a point I want to make. Here's what I want to illustrate here. You've got to, if you're cold calling, you've got to test different lists. Okay, the exact same list, depending on where you get your phone numbers from, could have drastically different results. The different criteria on the list you pull, right? What kind of list you pull, what kind of niche it's in, that could produce drastically different results too, right? 0% to 3.2 or 3.29% conversion rates. So here's my big recommendation. If you're going to cold call, don't just toss one list with 100,000 names in there and dial. Get 3, 4, 5, 6 types of lists. You might have to go through a few lists until you find one that's really highly converting. Nationwide, what we see is on average 4%, roughly 4% of all calls turn into leads. So that's just another number you can take and kind of benchmark yourself by. If you're running a list and you're at a 0.5% conversion rate, there's better lists out there, right? Now you've got to take that data and you've also got to align it with, even if you've got a list performing at 0.5%, and we've got some customers who do, but they love it because it's turning into profitable deals. So when you get to cold calling, it's not just about that, you know, grabbing a mojo dialer and actually calling out. You got to start looking at the trends, right? What lists are working, what deals are coming out of those lists, and you got to test. Hopefully for those of you going on that journey, hiring callers and knocking that out, hopefully that helps. If you have any more questions about cold calling or some of the stuff that we've seen in our business, I mean, 800,000 calls in roughly 3 to 4 months. Happy to share that information with you. Wish you all the best of luck. Bye-bye.